All right. I want to set this question up for Angelo here. Did Jeffrey Lurie get lucky, or was he a savant? And here's where I'm at with it. Could you imagine if the New York Jets or the Seattle Seahawks or the Carolina Panthers picked the phone up and said, hey, Jeffrey, you know the guy you have in the broom closet? You know that guy, Howie Roseman, you fired and you turned it all over to Chip? I want to hire him as my GM. What do you think he would have done then? When Chip had the entire team to his fingertips and could do anything personnel-wise or money-wise. Did Jeffrey Lurie get lucky by that whole situation? Let's bring in our friend, the man, the myth, the legend, our dear friend, Angelo Cataldi. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing great. I actually bought this hat. It's the only Eagle thing I've ever purchased in my life, because when I worked at WIP, I got all that stuff for free. So this is the first swag I actually pulled out of my pocket and paid for. And I did it because I want to remember the championship. It's going to be a while before there's another one.
So wait a minute, Angelo, wait a minute. WIP they don't send you, the Eagles don't send you any gear after all these years of covering them?
No, I am on my own now. I'm a free agent, but nothing's free when you're a free agent. So I bought this because I really loved that they won the Super Bowl. And based on this offseason so far, there will be no threat to win another one in the immediate future because, yes, Jeff Lurie got lucky. Come on. Of course he got lucky. Howie Roseman, all he did, he was at the craps table and he was just throwing sevens. Every move he made last year was brilliant. And then they went, oh, maybe we should let's cut some salary here and let's go like 20 million under the cap. Now, the cap was expanded 22 million. They've still got almost 20 million under it right now.
It's 17.
And free agency's over. Here, so what are you saving it for? Another yacht? What are we doing?
Here's where they're exactly at right now, Angelo. The cap right now is at 290. They got cap space of 17.9.
Yeah.
They've got dead cap, which is third in the league. They've got dead money of $65 million.
Wow.
On that cap as of right now. And I'll start the question here for you. Of all the moves that they have made, what's the most troubling move so far? Getting rid of Gardner Johnson? Just in theory, blowtorching the number one defense, letting Josh Sweat, letting Milton Williams walk out the door without even trying to do any kind of negotiation to save him, or letting Slay walk out the building.
Yeah.
In your opinion?
Gardner Johnson, because he was more than a very good player. He was an attitude. That team, if you look at the last 2 years, that team that just won the Super Bowl, that defense had an attitude. And that attitude, Barkley's only been an Eagle for 2 years, right? And those 2 years they went to the Super Bowl. They won one. Barkley brings look, he's a pain in the ass. He's really a troubling guy. He speaks very profane. He's a very profane human being. He is not somebody you want as your role model. But he's a really good player, and he brought an attitude that you could see affected the other players. They let him go. And they let him go for not that much money. They certainly had enough money to keep him another year. And they let him go. Why? What are they saving their money for?
Here's what I have a problem with people, what they're saying in Philly. So you're under the notion that these guys that you brought in, that you shopped at TJ Maxx, are going to help Jalen Carter. People keep going, well, hey, Milton Williams and Josh Sweat should write a check to Jordan Davis or to Jalen Carter. Okay, that may be true.
Yeah.
But what about you're going to spend $42 million, Angelo, and you're going to tell me you're going to piecemeal your edge rushers with guys who have been blown off of other football teams. You know, you put all these great players around Hurts on one side of the ball, and you're going to piecemeal it on the other side of the ball. Why would you not want to put as many good players around Jalen Carter as you do Jalen Hurts?
Well, you're right. Here's what they did, and it's a mistake. They convinced themselves, in the interest of saving money, that the real reason the Eagles' defense was so good this past season was Vic Fangio. And I'm not taking anything away from the coordinator. He was terrific. He got the most out of those players. The players they're giving him now, the most isn't as good as what they lost. You see,
right.
That's the problem. These guys have a much lower ceiling. Even if Fangio, even having his best year as a coach he ever had, he's not going to be able to do that 2 years in a row with a lot of different people. And you're right, the offense is pretty much intact. They didn't mess around with that very much. They just need a right guard, and they will probably be able to do that because Jeff Stoutland's a great coach also. But the defense is decimated for no good reason. For no good reason. Pay the guy. Well, here's the thing. You understand? The Eagles right now, with that $17.9 million on the cap, are 18th. They're 18th. They're middle of the NFL in 3 months since they won a Super Bowl. When you win a Super Bowl, you got to redo contracts. You got to find ways to get back under the cap. And they don't have to do any of that because they didn't spend the money this year. Why didn't they spend the money? Now, they will be asked that during the owners' meetings this week. You will get no clarity. Let me assure you. Jeff Lurie will be there, the owner. He'll talk. He'll give you no clarity. I know what Howie Roseman will say. The general manager will tell you, after you win a Super Bowl, I'm not going to make the same mistake I did 7 years ago. I'm not going to bring back players out of sentiment or out of emotion. He's saying, no, you went too far the other way. You went too far. You had the best team in football. You don't now. Why did you let that happen?
There's so many. They have 8 new faces on defense now. And theoretically, I mean, when you're adding new players in, you're replacing 5 starters. Even the backups. I mean, Oren Burks had a role. Isaiah Rodgers had a role.
Yes.
And these guys were minuscule money. See, to me, the Oren Burks stuff and the Isaiah Rodgers stuff, why do they just believe that much in the young talent that they've drafted? Or is this really just an ownership move or money move? Because why did they just really, Angelo, they really don't really look at defense as a high priority in Philly. They won the Super Bowl because.
No, we used to say they don't regard linebacker as a high priority. You can't say I don't regard defense as a high priority. That's how you just won a Super Bowl.
I know.
It's ironic. After Barkley, Johnson. The next guy that I thought they missed most was Burks because he filled in brilliantly for Nakobe Dean. And now there's nobody there to do it unless you're going to bring in a rookie linebacker. And Dean, how many games is he going to play before he gets hurt again? He's made out of ceramic. That guy chips at every hit. He's not. You had a guy that proved he could fill that role as well as Dean did, and you let him walk. And I just don't understand it.
How about 31 days out until you have to make a decision on Jordan Davis? And I think even more so this, Angelo, there's 24 days until the NFL draft. Okay, if they are, and I want to know if you think they're going to, let's just say Nolan Smith has 12 sacks. Okay, well, then that means he's up this coming off season here. Yep. Are you really going to pay that guy $25 million, Burt $20 million, 42 to Carter, and then add another 15 or 16 to Jordan Davis? I mean, Jordan Davis, in my opinion, has never lived up to the 13th pick in the draft. No. That's not Fletcher Cox. Do you think they move off of him, pick his option up, but don't give him a 3-year contract? I don't think they give him the extension.
No, I don't either, because you're right. He's underperformed where he was drafted. My only concern with that would be that he's played with Carter so long. Do I want to mix that up? Do I want to screw that up and make Carter less of a player? Those are not easy decisions. But you see, I just, when you have a team that you know is the best team in football, you just won the Super Bowl. My theory is that you don't worry about money 3 years down the road, because the window doesn't stay open that long for any team, unless you're the Patriots because you have Tom Brady. So maximize what you have right now and keep guys that you know are really good football players, and change a couple of contracts. Get right, just kind of slide under the cap and put the best team on the field again next year. But they didn't do that. And I know how he said ahead of time, I'm not going to do what I did 7 years ago and bring everybody back. Different situation, different players. I don't think they're doing the right thing.
How about this, Angelo? Do you think that Jeffrey Lurie this week will offer Howie Roseman a lifetime contract to remain in Philadelphia? Because you and I believe his kid Julian will one day be the president of the the football operation. So that decision probably is down the line there. But I mean, I think it'd be hard pressed to see him anywhere else where he would get the autonomy of the owner's money, and he would probably want that. Do you think he retires a Philadelphia Eagle, or do you think there'll become a day when he will be a free agent out there? Because after this year, he is. I'm assuming they're going to address it. I'm more concerned about him than Nick. I think Nick's interchangeable. But Howie's the kingpin to this thing here. How do you think they handle this?
That's a great question, because if the economic decisions being made for players extend to Howie, you might lose him. Now you got to understand, I'm going to go back 9 years. There wasn't a person in this city that thought Joe Banner, Jeff Lurie's lifelong friend and the president of the team, would ever be let go. And then he was let go. Now, he was let go because he alienated the entire city and was a miserable human being. No one could get along with him, right? He was just a complete horse's ass, all right? That isn't true of Howie. Howie knows how to deal with people far better than Banner ever did. But Howie now is not a dummy. Howie now has all the leverage to get as much money as any GM is making anywhere in any sport based on what he did last year. Is Lurie going to do that? He may want to spread his wings. Howie might want to go, let's see what the open market will get me. I am not saying to you unequivocally that Howie Roseman will be here beyond when his contract runs out, because I don't know how far this sudden economic turn will affect Howie's situation. If they want to go cheap, Howie's not coming back, because Howie's a $10 million a year GM, if not more.
How about this, though, Angelo? When does it, and tell me about the owner, when does it get to the point where the owner wants to have a little bit of the gravitas with this thing, too, on building the championships, too, and the ego that he has? And like you say, I've learned one thing about the Eagles, man. This owner, he is with his hands on everything, especially when it comes to public perception.
Right.
Don't you think he wants the perception that this is his game, this is his bat and ball? I built this. I gave Howie the opportunity to be this guy. When does that ego get, or does it? Maybe it doesn't. But when does that get to a point where he says, I could do this without him? Jerry Jones thought he could build the Super Bowl team without Jimmy Johnson. That never happened. Does that owner have that same gene in him?
First of all, talking about Jeff Lurie's ego, all right? Because first of all, my disclaimer is I never encountered a billionaire in my life, and I encountered a lot of them in sports. I never encountered one that I liked in any way. I always thought they would detach from reality. And I've often said Jeff Lurie was born on third base and still thinks he had a triple. All right. So he's got all, he won the gene pool. Jeff Lurie believes and will always believe that he is the number one reason for the success of the Eagles. He will. And there are a lot of people that will tell you, well, he's the owner. Yeah, they won 2 Super Bowls. They were in 4 since he's owned the team. He's done a good job. And in the big picture, he has. Compared to so many other owners, Dan, he's actually a good owner. But you're right that his ego will make the final decision. And if you're hearing too much that Howie Roseman's the reason, that will actually work against Howie to get another deal, because Lurie will want to prove to you Howie did a lot, but here's the brains of the operation. And yeah, that could well be. His ego is massive, like all of. In fact, he'll be addressing the media. The only time he always addresses the media is at the owners' meeting. I invite you to listen to him and tell me if you've ever heard a more pompous human being than Jeff Lurie after he's won a Super Bowl. Because I experienced it 7 years ago. And at one point in his owners' meeting after they had won that Super Bowl, I thought he invented the game.
All right, let me say this. You mentioned something very interesting to me. So you mentioned alienating the community is what got Joe Banner fired.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Howie Roseman, that you see that he has a deficiency in his game that could get him fired? Because as you said, he loved Joe Banner.
Yeah.
Is it his ego? Is it him being too out front? Is there one thing that he tries to stay away from that could cost him his job? Because, again, he's done the last 4 years, they've done a nice job in drafting.
Yeah.
Contracts. They do have a lot of dead cap money now. It's now hitting up near $66 million. That could be a problem as it continues to go forward. But is there anything, Angelo, in your opinion, he can do? Because right now, they're both sitting on top of the A game. I mean, they're going to be flexing this week down in Palm Beach. You know that. They're going to be flexing.
Oh, that's
down
what
it's going to be.
Oh, wait till you hear him. He'll have philosophies on success and life. You'll think at one point he's Warren Buffett. He's just, and the truth is, it's a lot of hot air. There's not that much behind it, but he has a successful NFL team, and I suspect that he wants as much credit, if not more, than anyone. And if he sees Howie as a blockade to that, Howie may have to do it somewhere else. I don't know. Howie's biggest problem is Howie is too subservient to Lurie. Lurie reminds me in ways of Donald Trump in that and this may be true of all billionaires. I don't know that many, but he only surrounds himself with people that remind him he's brilliant, consistently and without exception. If something goes wrong, it was inevitable. If something goes right, it was Lurie's brilliance. And that, to me, at some point, and this is somebody who got along with none of his bosses and none of the people that owned the right? None of them. Dan, it was an armed warfare for 30 years. I had on my contract that one of my bosses couldn't speak to me. All right. That's how much I hated bosses. Because I never
baby.
Yeah. I never kissed the boss's ass. It's probably why I'm retired now. Who knows? But here's the bottom line. I think there's too much of that. Sometimes you got to tell the boss, stay in your lane. This is my thing, and I'll do it. And I'm not going to kiss your ass every time I come out. You got a big enough ego already. I don't have to feed it. So I think that's Howie's biggest problem, that Howie is not seen as strong as he could be by the guy who makes the final decision, because he's always basically kowtowing to whatever Jeff Lurie wants.
Are you leaning right now? I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire here, but are you leaning right now? There's only been 9 teams repeat as Super Bowl champions. Are you leaning? Lee, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire here.
This is the dumbest question you've ever asked. I had to win 5 games last year. They won the Super Bowl. You will not find a dumber person to ask that question to than me. All I've said in the past 20 minutes or so, pretty much all bullshit. What do I know? I was in here a year ago proclaiming the depth of the Eagles organization. Oh, and Nick Sirianni's going. Then they held a parade here. I had to wear a bag over my head for 3 months, Dan.
Yeah. Oh, believe me.
Yeah, the answer to your question, even though it was ridiculous, the answer to your question is no, I don't see it any way they're repeating. I looked at their schedule. I know they still have Nick Sirianni there. Their defense has been decimated by free agency. No, they're not repeating.
Here's who they're playing against quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Dak, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, who's 2-0 against them. Those are they're going to have the number one schedule in the NFL this coming season with the defense that took a blowtorch to.
Keep in mind that they won last year. They had a period after the bye that was like just a parade of awful teams, like 5 or 6 bad teams in a row, which built up their momentum and took them all the way to the finish line. That ain't happening with this. This is going to be a much tougher schedule, and that may require them to rely more on the acumen of Nick Sirianni. And I'm sensing if that happens, they're in trouble.
A couple last ones here for you. Angelo, let me do a couple baseball here with you here.
Yeah.
Are you impressed with what Dombrowski has done? Has he underwhelmed you, overwhelmed you for his resume on who he is and what he is, with the success he had with the Marlins, Detroit, Red Sox even? How do you think he's been in Philadelphia? Has he overachieved or underwhelmed?
Well, let me start with this because I wrote about this on my blog today at angelocataldi.com. I have been a baseball fan for 70 years because I was a little kid. I was 4 or 5 years old.
Angelo, in New England, we grew up baseball, not football fans.
Joe DiMaggio. Oh, my God. Yankees versus Red Sox, all that stuff. I've been a fan my whole life. I sat down for the opening game of the Phillies season against the Nationals Thursday, and I lasted 2.5 innings. And I shut it off, and I went, I'm done. I'm going to check in from time to time. I'm going to still have stupid opinions. But the fact of the matter is, I can't sit down and watch a game and 15 outs, 13 with strikeouts.
I know.
I'm watching men play catch. They're just the pitcher's throwing the ball, the catcher's throwing it back. He swings, he misses, walks, he strikes.
Walk of shame? 13 walks of shame.
No hit and runs, no, God forbid, a drag bunt. Nothing. No subtlety to what makes the game beautiful. So I am no longer, seriously, basketball is now past baseball for me. It's football, then a big gap, then basketball, and then baseball, and then hockey. It stinks. The way they play the game now stinks.
Yeah.
Now, do the Phillies have enough? Hell no. Did you see the Dodgers?
Yeah,
I'm wondering if the Dodgers will win every game this year. They're 5-0 right now. Yeah. Look at the pitchers they have. Look at the lineup they have. I haven't seen a team that good in forever. And then the Yankees found a way to cheat by getting these
torpedo bats.
And they got guys who hit 5 home runs a season, hitting 450 bombs, right? With these fancy new
Angelo, if you can't juice the players, juice the equipment. How you doing?
Right? Exactly. Meanwhile, the Phillies are going, well, we're pretty good. But Harper's a year older. Wheeler, who is their best player to me, the most valuable player on the team is Wheeler. He's 35 now. Yeah, how long do you want to push that? So should Dombrowski have done more? I don't even know anymore if it matters. If you're bringing every great Japanese player and putting them on the Dodgers, the rest of baseball's in trouble. So I don't even know if I would have said, look, Dombrowski is a very good GM, and he knows how to build a good team. But they're not going to win with a manager, Rob Thompson, who does not, all he does is follow analytics religiously. And they should have done more. I don't like Luzardo. I don't think he's going to be that big of a help, even though I think he struck out 93 guys in the opener or something like that. He struck out almost everyone he played, and they still were barely hanging on.
Angelo, is this Pedro? Is this Pedro Thompson? Is that what we got here as the manager of the Philly?
I just don't. Thompson, to me, I got no use for Thompson at all. Not only is he really just such a robot as a strategist, there's never been a more boring interview. Listen to this man, right? Honestly, he can't answer a question without putting you to sleep. He has never said an interesting thing in 3 years as manager. Not a thing. That's why I was bitching to also in my blog about losing Tortorella, right? Because Tortorella begged them to fire him, and they did. I went, great. Let me tabulate now. Oh, now the Flyers have 0 interesting people in their organization, including my co-host Keith Jones, who suddenly got boring when he went there. He fell into the black hole of boringness. I mean, you've got to, it's one thing to win. It's another thing to entertain the people that follow your team. Give them something. These teams are giving them nothing.
I have a Sixer question. You know, they've been eliminated, you know.
Yeah, it's a shame. They lost 26 out of the last 29 games.
Well, okay. Who is there anyway? Obviously, the money in the extension they just gave,
right?
Joel Embiid, he's not going anywhere. But does Daryl Morey survive this?
No. Daryl Morey. That's such a great question because the Sixers are run by a hedge fund guy, Joshua Harris. And hedge fund guys don't look at the standings as much as like sportsmen. You know, a guy who really cares about the team that he owns. Harris doesn't give a damn, all right? So they've lost 26 out of 29 games. They're officially tanking again. They are the number 1 tanking team of all time during the process that went on for 4 years. And now they're purposely losing every game they can now. And they have a horrible cap situation because they paid Paul George over $200 million to hurt his pinky and be out for 6 months. No, they're not. And Embiid is already at 32 a shadow of his former self. He's already just an injury waiting to happen. No, they need to keep tanking for 5 more years and bring back Sam Hinkie. Now we got something. Make all those morons that love Hinkie, get them happy again and bring back that jackass.
Two less. Do you want to see the Eagles play the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, or the Cowboys? Or do you want to see that face again, this time in Philly, getting waxed on the sideline and Andy Reid over there on that sideline? No?
No. I know how to leave the table when I'm winning. Now that Reid has been humiliated, I don't want to give him a chance for redemption. So he's out. he's out. I don't, Reid's the only one I hate. So I'm just, look, that's why I bought the hat. Every time I look up at this hat, I'll see Andy Reid with that mustache. And by the way, I haven't seen one Kansas City Chiefs commercial so far in the offseason. So maybe we put all that to rest. Now, I don't, you know what? To me, I have to learn at my age, I'm 74 now, to start rooting for people instead of against them. But it's what my dad did the whole last 20 years of his life. He would watch Red Sox games just to yell at the screen because he hated the Red Sox. I would say, Dad, what about Joe DiMaggio, the Yankees? Look at this. Pedro gave up a home run. Oh, Manny Ramirez. You jerk.
Oh, my God.
I'm like my father.
Angelo, in my house, just so you know, we had pictures of Mario Alonso We had Joe DiMaggio, and I think there a guy who looked like Mussolini. I couldn't tell, but I just know that we had pictures all over the house. And I always used to ask, "What are these pictures?" And he goes like this: "That's sentimental reasons. I don't know." And like I go, "What do we got? Who's Mario Lanza?" I used to hear Mario Lanza. And then my grandfather would always scream at the Red Sox. It's all I remember too. Him screaming at the Red Sox.
No, I'll tell you, Dan. Last week I ripped Calipari and Patino. And I swear I looked up at the sky and there was like a thunderclap. And that was my dad saying, "What the hell's wrong with you? These are Italians. Embrace them. They're your people."
You know, I get the same stuff that we're hating on Nick. I just go, that guy's a Frenchman. There's not a chance he's Italian. I just don't see it that he's Italian. Angelo, tell the folks where they can find your blog, please. Thank you so much for doing this.
AngeloCataldi.com. I write every Monday. My wife knows how to post it. And I give you my absolutely unfettered opinions on things, even though sometimes they're horrendously wrong.
5 win. You don't know all the heat. He's the guy that picked the Eagles to win 5. I go, I know he is.
I don't know why you keep bringing me on, Dan. It makes no sense to me.
Angelo, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Be well,
You got it. That is Angelo Cataldi, our good friend. Make sure you hit the like button there. Yep. Hey, I know all of you now are like all Nick Sirianni fans now. I know. It's okay. I got it. What's going on, Pump? How you doing, brother? I agree with you. Yep. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. He said they're not winning. The Eagles are not winning. They're not going back to back. What in the world is Xander going to say at the bottom of the hour? They're not going back. Oh, this is really nice. Thank you so much. Morgan and Morgan. They want to send Big Sills some T-shirts and some hats. I might have to do that too and have them send them over to Xander and have us give them away. Some Morgan and Morgan for the people. How you doing? All right. I'm going to go back over that list. What have been the biggest Eagles moves that they have made that you've questioned? And I'm going to put them in order here. The biggest questions that you have on what they've done this offseason, okay? Also, they are in a good place, I think, financially. The quarterbacks that they've played so far on the schedule that they will play in 2025, we'll hit on all that. Hit the like button here. Okay, let's see what my boy Maniac says. Angelo was the opposite of us winning last year. Hey, Maniac, he still came on. Okay? Biggest question is why you still have Angelo on your show. Because then I'd have to listen to an asshole like you. Let's see. The geriatric Phillies. They told me not to hop on the wagon when the Phillies win a title. Wagon. 2025 Phillies. 1800 Stagecoach. Yeah. 142. Hit that like button for me. There you go. Hey, Pump. If I had to ask you right now, Pump, with the defense being where it is now, how many wins would you throw out there just right now on the last day of March? Let me write this down here. Let's see here. With that defense and that 29th ranked passing offense, Pump, how many wins would you put there? Nine wins, 10 wins. 9 wins, Crowley. And no drop off. They took a blowtorch to the number 1 defense. No drop off. There you go, baby. What do we got, Pump? 7 wins. What? Steve's got 10 wins. Damn. Charlie's got 13 wins, 1 game difference with all the players that they've lost. Darius Slay, Gardner Johnson. Half your secondary's gone. Half your D-line's gone. Probably 1. 20-1. 13 wins, 1 drop-off. Look at Pump. Maybe 5 wins if the tush push gets banned. Oh, man. 12 wins easily. Big Cells, 12 wins. So I saw Xander post, so the Phillies have done something right. They got the torpedo bats. Good. Juice the bats. Juice the players. Juice the football. Juice everything. I don't care. What do I care? I'm not a moralist. I'm just a sports fan. I think the worst thing that they did in baseball was taking juice out of the game. Now it's the most boring game in all of sports. You want to hear something cool? My wife and I, when we were watching and living in the San Francisco Bay Area, we would stop to watch Sosa McGuire in a restaurant. They were airing it when they were hitting home runs and chasing down Maris. They would stop whatever they were doing. Both players were juiced. They stopped that. Now no one watches the game. No one watches it. I'm not the only one that said that. Bobby Valentine even said that. Okay? Seals, it's only cheating if you can prove it. Hey, so wait a minute. I want my athletes to play longer. Whatever medicine that could possibly. Hey, well, let me ask you this, Kyle. So should I not get a heart valve because they've I'd be cheating life to put a heart valve in? Isn't that cheating life? So if I took some juice to extend my playing career, I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of that. It's never been a problem with me. You want to take anabolics or PEDs? Have at it. You want to help your career? Go right ahead. I'm not a moralist. That's not my personal decision. You make those decisions yourself. I am a guy who buys a ticket and sits in the stands and watches a 9-inning ball game or a 4-quarter football game. I don't sit down and go, well, that guy's a good guy. That guy's a bad guy. I don't give a shit about any of that. That has no bearing in my life and how I watch a game. I watch a football game based on what they do on the field, not off the field. You guys care more about that shit than I do. Okay? Decimated our defense, even though we still have our best players. You can't keep everybody. Correct. Hey, Jay, I'm not saying you're not going to be good. I think you are going to be good. I am so pro-steroid, HGH, whatever. Charlie, good for you. HGH is not a steroid. It's a growth hormone. I've always been a fan of it. They give it to elderly people. Why not give it to athletes? It's no big deal, in my opinion. All right, Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in the country. Folks, with over $20 billion recovered for their clients, this is what makes Morgan & Morgan the best injury law firm in the country. They're so proud to be part of the program. You know, they know about the story of the family right here in Pennsylvania. They were initially offered $650,000. They got $26 million in recovery. The family down in Florida was initially offered by an insurance company, $350K. They got $12 million. Listen, folks, if you're ever injured, please do me a favor. Check out our great friends at For the People, Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.